Hello. I am sharing my story out there, tell you exactly where it all began, how I got into the direct sales world, where I'm at now, all of the good stuff, and hopefully give you some tips on. So, I'm Cody Bills. My motto is Dreams Before Dishes. I'm so glad you're here. It's taken me years and years to, learn everything. And well, I still don't know everything. Learning process for sure. Never stop learning. There's tip number one. But it's taken me years and years to get to where I am today. So let's just put it that way. So it's been 10 years. It's been a decade since I started my first direct sales company. And I'm very casual with you guys. I'm sitting on my floor. Hope you don't mind. But I was a young mother. I had 3 little boys. And soon after I started my first company, I became pregnant with my 4th boy. But I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit. But I was very happily married. I loved being at home with my boys. I mean that was my dream, to be able to stay at home with my boys. But I could feel myself kind of losing my identity. I had I have a wonderful marriage, my wonderful had a great house. I'm like, how could I possibly be wanting more? But I just had that urge inside me, and I'm like, I need to be doing. I feel like I'm not contributing to society. I feel like I'm not using my talents. And I was slowly slipping into depression and losing myself, and just kind of there. Like, I was doing my, motherly duties, everything like that, but I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I know there's another purpose for me. And, lesson number 2 is that if you can find out for yourself that you can be the best mom and the best wife and have a side gig, a side job, whatever you want to call it, it is possible. And it actually will make you a better wife and a better mom and a better whatever, daughter, all those titles that we as women hold. So this was just when Facebook was coming around and social media was just getting onto the scene. And I saw one of my really good friends post about a party she was having at the company. I'm like, it's like fun, I really need something to do. So I called her up and I said, I want to, the product that you're selling looks pretty interesting. I want to host a party. And so I got the party all set up. And then I was like, you know what? Okay, so I don't know anything about what direct sales is or multi-level marketing or network. I said no clue about it. I was a little skeptical. I'm like, how does this really work? I had no clue about compensation plans, how you even get paid. And I was like, is it even real that people are making, hundreds of thousands of dollars? I didn't even know if that was even true. But anyways, this little voice in my head said, why don't you just sign up and give it a try? And I was like, what am I thinking? So anyways, I called her up. I'm like, why don't I sign up? Let's make this my launch party. And I didn't tell my husband because, he was skeptical too. I'm like, I'm not going to tell my husband. I'll wait till after to see how it goes. So anyways, I had my first, in-home party, and it went really good. I got a good response, and I was like, okay, I can do this. This is fun. This is going to get me out of the house, and maybe I'll make, a couple $100 a month. And on my calendar, I started getting the word out. I started kind of learning about social media and getting it out there, and kind of branded myself. I made a fan page. Back then it was called The Jeans Girl, because people were like, hey, you're that jeans girl, right? And so like labeled me, and I took that and ran with it because people were associating me with that. And so I ran with it, and and I was just having so much fun. Like, mind you, I had no no idea what the compensation. I had no idea how to get to the next rank. I was just having fun. Like this was just up to have a social life that came in the mail, because it was snail mail back then, was $25. And I was like, well, there's a start. Everyone has to start somewhere. And, you know, the harder I worked, you know, it would double and quadruple and, you know, every time. And I could see my income growing. And people were just drawn to me. And they started joining my team. I didn't even know what that meant, you guys. Seriously, I went into direct sales knowing nothing. And nowadays, social media is so huge. It's a lot easier for, you know, to get people to join your team. But I was out there doing like 4 parties a week. I was super fun and I was passionate about it. And that's what drew people to me. And so our first conference came around, 50 people there, because this was a new company. There was only 50 people at our conference. Picture that. But I got called up onto stage as hitting the highest rank in the company. And I had no clue I had reached the highest rank. I was like, oh my gosh. But then I'm like, okay, that's why my paychecks were getting bigger and bigger. And this was so funny, you guys. And it's probably because we didn't have a very good track, and like the programs for direct sales didn't even exist back then. But still to this day, I'm not a numbers person, but I do want to see results and I want to track them. I'm not having fun, then it feels like a job, and nobody wants that. Like I want whatever I do to have that fun, fulfilling, you know, aspect of it. And so I started learning the ins and outs, and just really learning that people will come to you if you're positive and if you're passionate, and if you're not like shoving and just being yourself. And so I did that for 5 years. My first company was amazing. Was the top consultant, and we were around for 5 years, and then sadly the doors closed. You know, stuff like that happens. And so I jumped into another new, and the companies that I joined happened to be new startup companies. But I want to read you with, if you're going to succeed, it all depends on how much work you put into it, because you can come into any company at any time and soar to the top and surpass people that have been in it for years. So let me just make that point. So next company, same thing. Like I had the following, I stayed consistent, and it was very fulfilling. And again, that company decided to cut off the consultant part. And so I decided, gosh, what am I going to do now? And are people really even going to take me seriously if I jump into a third company? And I really started to get into my head, and I was like, oh, they're just going to think I'm nuts. The company's closing. But I started to like wonder, well, maybe I'll just stop doing direct sales. And I took a little break, and I was company shopping, and, you know, because it's very important to find the right company for you. All of the stars have to match. Like you have to be passionate about the product. It has to be a product that's in demand. The compensation plan has to make sense to you. There has to be room for growth. I mean, there's so many that are so important. I'm not going to jump into a company just because everyone else is doing it. It has to be the right fit for me. So I dabbled for a quick second in a health company. It wasn't fun for me. Was not me, did not fit my personality. And then finally, current company. And I was just so scared that nobody would join me, because, you know, here I am on my third company. But that's just with what branding and how you put it out there and your attitude and things like that. Here I am. I've soared to every single company I've done, soared to the top. And it's not because of, I mean, it's made mistakes on the way and I've learned from them, and I want to make sure that I share those with you guys. So anyways, what it has done for me, rewind when I said I was going into depression and just didn't know what I wanted to do. My husband was skeptical at first, but as soon as he saw what it did for me internally, the paychecks that kept doubling, quadrupling, and life-changing income that started coming in, yes, of course, that's convincing to him, and that's amazing, a blessing. But what personally is where I was able to balance. I was able to come out of my shell, become a leader, inspire, start speaking, all of those things that is so, so, so important for a woman to have in her life. We need to be challenged, am I right? We need to be inspired. We need to be rewarded. As moms, we're kind of silently rewarded because we get to see, all the little mild children and their growth and everything that happens within our kids. But we don't get, income, we don't get awarded trips, we don't get recognition. All of those things that direct sales can do for us is so, so important. It actually makes me want to be a better mom, a better wife, like I mentioned before. So that is my story and how I got. I know that a lot of you have had even more challenging times than I do. You might be struggling with something way bigger, way more grave than just, depression and self-confidence and things like that. Use your story to invite people into your opportunity. Reach out and share that, because you never know who you're going to touch. And I still struggle with things. Like, you might think I'm so put together and just have this wonderful Candyland life. And most of the time I do, because I work hard to make it like that. But I do struggle internally all the time. And here's another tip. Like, you need to give yourself a pep talk, not a pap smear. You need to give yourself a pep talk every single day. I do. Even though if you're at a top of the company and you're making crazy, crazy fall out of your chair income money, you'll still get inside your head. You'll still want to quit every other day. And it's only you that's going to keep you going, because our job's a little bit harder. We don't have a 9-to-5 job with a boss telling us that we have to show up to work. It's actually you. You're self-driven in this, world. So give yourself a pep talk every single day. Don't get in your head, and share your story. Go out there. Don't be afraid to tell people what you've gone through, what you're currently going through, and make sure you share the blessings of what you. You might just be getting started and you haven't really seen any rewards for your efforts yet, but just stay consistent. It takes years to get established. And also, I want to point out that your first company might not work out. You might want to leave. Like, if you don't like the culture, if you don't like, if you're not feeling it, you're not passionate about it, then it's okay to change direction. And I just want to point out that not every company is going to fit every person. So you kind of have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince. Same thing with the companies. So anyways, I've chatted your ears off. I just appreciate you, following me and supporting me. And I just want to give that back to you. So I wish you all super success. And I really hope you can continue to get some value from the experiences that I have gone through the years, because they're tried and true and they have worked for me. And I'm so excited for you guys to really just learn and dig in and, make your dreams come true, and put those little things aside, like the dishes that will get done, but put it at the bottom of your list, because your dreams are more important. Talk to you soon, guys.